I know.
Okay. Welcome back to the From the Fabricator podcast. I'm your host, Max Pearlstein. Thank you so much for joining me once again on this tour of the glass and glazing industry. Appreciate it. New one today, good one, I believe. And before we get into it, a thanks to this episode's sponsor, FHC. Thank you to them for the support. They are awesome. Check them out at fhc-usa.com. That's the website. There's tons of info on there, resources, and of course, every product under the sun. Check it out, fhc-usa.com. I thank them for the support of this podcast and of the industry. And speaking of the industry, we just came off of Glass Build America, which I thought was tremendous. I'm biased, of course, but everything I've heard has been very, very positive, and I hope everybody who attended got everything out of it that they wanted. And now we move on to Glass Tech, and we're going to talk a little bit about that with Michael Spellman and Carolyn Spellman later in the podcast. But interesting show coming up in Germany. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a good show. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. I'm going to go in with an open mind. I will be there. And I have that in my blog. If you are attending, hit me up. I would love to say hello while we are in Germany. And that'll be, no matter what, a chance to network. And I look forward to that. Okay. Today, what we've got coming up. First guest is Jason Isackson of Sentinel Facades. Interesting guy. Got to meet him and spend some time with him at Glass Build. He made a heck of a splash there. Products are pretty cool. So we chop it up a little bit there. And then Michael and Carolyn Spellman back on the podcast for the first time in a few years. And again, just Michael's passion, Carolyn's intelligence and passion, Michael's intelligence too. Obviously, really well put together people who really have brought a lot to this industry. So it was fun to kind of run down some of that stuff. So Jason, then Michael and Carolyn, thank you for checking out this podcast. I'll be back on the other side with my TV picks as always, and we'll see you then. Okay. Next up on the From the Fabricator podcast, I'm thrilled to have Jason Isackson of Sentinel Facades. You can find them online, brand new website. It is www.saferwithsentinel.com. So that's SAFERWITH Sentinel, which is SENTINEL.com. Jason, thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Hey, thanks, Max. Nice to see you today, and thanks. It's an honor to be here with you today.
The honor's all mine because Jason is a hockey guy and he is playing hurt today. He's fighting a little bit of a bug, but like all good hockey players who like lose 10 teeth and come out for the next shift, he's here with me. So thank you so much for doing it. And I'm excited to get to know you a little bit. This is exciting for me.
Yeah, thanks, Max. It was a pretty intense week about a week ago at Glass Build, and I'm still recovering from that. So, but yeah, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I love it. We're going to cover that because you made a heck of a splash. So let's start with you and your background, where you grew up, your path to the industry. Love to learn a little bit more about Jason Isackson.
Oh, thanks, Max. Yeah. So it's been an interesting career. I started my career off in the IT world, worked for a number of big corporations, IBM being one of them. I gained a lot of corporate experience and sort of IT knowledge at the beginning of my career. But I had always a desire to participate in the design or construction industry. And so through a career transition, I had an opportunity to join a leader in the lighting controls and lighting space, a company called Lutron Electronics.
Okay.
For a number of years, I worked for them. I was in sales, and I was selling their automated roller shade system, which delivered an automated daylight experience in the interior of the business building. Gotcha. So it elevated the occupant experience and solved a lot of the problems that unmitigated glare would have in the built environment. And so while working at Lutron, I witnessed the beginning of electrochromic glass.
Okay.
And I lost a couple of projects to a startup called View Glass. And so, I thought it was cool technology, but I also recognized there were some limitations at the time. And then it was around 2018 when a recruiter reached out and they said, there's a new electrochromic company that's coming to market. They've solved a lot of the problems that you just mentioned. And so I'd like you to, meet with them. And so I did, and I was blown away by their technology. And so I joined Halio
Right.
Smart Glass in 2018. And so that's when I changed from being a shady sales guy, I'll say it,
Yeah.
selling automated roller shades, getting closer to the light, and getting into the glazing industry. And so at the beginning of my time with Halio, um, I really worked hard to learn as much as I could about glass and glazing and glass fabrication
Right.
and all of that. And so there was a lot of resources online that I took advantage of. Um, a lot of items related to the National Glass Association that I learned a lot about the industry and I really embraced it.
Right.
And so I was fortunate. I had a good run with Halio. Sadly, though, this year has been really tough on electrochromic manufacturers. As many listeners are probably aware, Halio went through an insolvency process
Right.
earlier in the year. I lost my opportunity to continue working with them at that time. So did Viewglass. They also went through some challenges, and um, so with that, career transitions bring new opportunities.
Yeah.
And so here we are today. I'm super excited to say I'm working for a new company called Sentinel. They're not really new, but they're new to the glass and glazing business in that we're now selling Sentinel's technology to the greater glass and glazing world. And
Cool.
we've sort of launched our brand at Glass Build 2024 in Dallas.
Okay. Oh, very cool. And we're gonna just jump into Sentinel in a second, but just curious, where were you born and grew up? You're Canadian, correct? Canadian born and bred.
Yeah, Canadian born. I was born in Quebec,
Okay.
and I've grown up most of my life in the Toronto area. So yeah, I'm a good Canadian kid that I've worked at Nortel in my
Okay.
career, and I love to play hockey. And so that's a couple of check boxes.
I like it. Okay, just had to confirm that. I assume that just from all the things we've talked about, but I did not know that and did not would not have guessed Quebec. I figured probably Toronto or maybe Ottawa, something like that. But so Quebec kind of got me there. So let's go to back to business to Sentinel. So I've got Jason Isaacson of Sentinel Facades with me. Sentinel, what those that are watching on YouTube can see it's a safer, stronger, smarter on the screen. But tell the audience, what is Sentinel? What do you guys provide? What's the elevator pitch sort of thing for Sentinel Facades?
Yeah, Sentinel specializes in providing glazing contractors with fully tested bullet resistant and force entry rated facade systems. So we take the complexity out of adhering to certain standards and getting that all tested and submitting all the documentation and supporting the design team with a fully tested and fully working system. And so Sentinel started through a strategic partnership with a glazing contracting firm a number of years ago. And this firm specializes in the luxury retail storefront space. It's a very unique aspect of the glazing business. And they're very successful and they have a big roster of really nice projects. And so Aurora Glazing Solutions is the glazing contractor. They had a need for a North American sourced um, highly rated force entry facade system, one that was tested to a high level of European standard, which was the RC5 force entry rated system.
Right.
So Sentinel has been designing and testing aluminum systems and complete with glazing assemblies and supplying Aurora exclusively for the last number of years. And now the Sentinel team, they hired me to take Sentinel to the next level, to open it up, to expand the customer base, to now offer these highly engineered, really elegant looking aluminum um, curtain wall, fixed window entry systems to the broader glazing community.
And I think that's probably where the difference for you is that I think the industry is so used to buying the glass from a glass guy, glass person, and then buying the aluminum from somebody else. And you're talking, you're doing the whole system. So whether it's a curtain wall or a fixed window, that's where, kind of where your approach is, which makes you a little different. Am I reading that right?
Yeah, exactly. And so we're not a glass fabricator. We don't have lamination capabilities. But we have partnerships with glass fabricators that have specialized makeups. And so we will mix and match our aluminum systems with those specialty glass makeups
Right.
and have the whole system tested together so that customers and architects have confidence that the whole system will work together.
And it's big. And that's it's interesting because that's how like hurricane systems work, is that it's a system, and it took a while for that to come along, but that was in 1992, and now it's ancient history. I think what you're trying to do is bring that same sort of mentality to the security side.
Yeah, exactly. And so we recognize there's a need. It seems like the supply for force entry and ballistic resistance is a bit bifurcated. So there's a lot of suppliers that will supply glass units,
Yep.
but they won't necessarily consider the aluminum frame system as part of a retrofit or an installation. And so that's usually a weak spot in the installation. And so we want to address that with something that is fully tested, fully compliant, and everybody has trust in that whole system working.
Love it, love it, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the testing momentarily. And so, people just joining, Jason Isaacson, Sentinel Facades, check their website out. It's Safer with Sentinel, all one word, saferwithsentinel.com. Glass build, pretty cool stuff overall. The interest was there. For those that may have followed along on social media or were at the show, Jason and his team were all in custom hockey jerseys, which really caught people's eyes and had the brains going. And you did not cheap on those hockey jerseys. These weren't like something that you just put together yourself. These were the real deal, beautiful jerseys. I think it caught people's eyes. Your booth was busy at all times. What do you think it was? Was it the jerseys? Was it the coffee station you had there? Was it your good looks, your wife's good looks? I mean, you were busy. What was the magic here?
Yeah, we really enjoyed Glass Build 2024 this year. It was a very busy show, very pleasantly surprised with the feedback we got. And so when we were going through our booth sort of strategy and design concepts, we were just thinking about our own experience attending big trade shows. And I find that you have a lot of energy at the beginning of the day
Yeah.
and you're visiting a bunch of booths, but near the end of the day, maybe when you get up into the, corners of the trade show floor, I feel like I'm a zombie almost. I'm walking through these aisles, I don't even know what I'm looking at.
Right.
And so we sort of felt like we needed to do something that stood out, and another element was to show some hospitality or generosity
Yeah.
and provide, something nice for the occupants, or not occupants, but visitors to experience at the Sentinel booth. So a couple things we did, as you mentioned, we all wore hockey jerseys with the big Sentinel logo on it. And that definitely stood out. Like you had a bunch of people wearing hockey jerseys, kind of looks weird. So what's going on over here?
Yeah.
And so that worked out really well, and we got some really fun feedback on that. And it just so worked out that the jerseys that we chose as our base was a Dallas Stars third jersey from a number of years ago.
Okay.
We were in Dallas, and hockey season is starting this week, so we thought that was appropriate. And then we also we invested in a Starbucks coffee station. So Sentinel was providing complimentary Starbucks coffee. It was we heard it. We were a legendary booth in the area. A lot of our colleagues working at other booths, they're coming over for coffee. It was a great, caffeine injection mid-afternoon. And so I think those two sort of elements really helped us draw people in. And then once people, were in the vicinity and saw what we did and saw our demo units,
Yeah.
uh, then it resonated and it clicked, and we got a lot of activity and traction out of that.
It was a trade show 101 special there by you guys. You taught some people some lessons. So kudos on that. And the demos look great. The demo pieces, and so you brought them in and they got to see it. So congrats to you and the team there. It looked great. Really really fun stuff. And since we're on the funner side of things, I always ask every month a fun question. And I just assumed when I sent the questions out that you were a hockey fan. If you're not, this will shock me. So your fun question is your three top all time favorite hockey players. Who are your all time favorites? It's funny when I've asked the hockey question before. It's usually somebody like Art Heward, who I've known for many years. I don't know you very well, so you could really shock me here with who you're picking. I'm curious your top three hockey players of all time.
Well, thanks, Max. I'm a big hockey fan. Being a kid growing up in Toronto, in the 90s, the Maple Leafs were on a bit of a run back then, and so I really fell in love with Matt Sundin
Yep.
as Toronto's captain. It's unfortunate he wasn't able to win a Stanley Cup with Toronto. That was really disappointing. So yeah, definitely he's number one on my list. I would say that maybe Mario Lemieux, um,
There you go.
and uh, and even Wayne Gretzky. But I would say probably preferred Mario Lemieux because he didn't really bury the Maple Leafs in one playoff round,
Right.
uh, an infamous series. And so and then number three, I would have to say Austin Matthews is a really exciting player to watch, and we're really privileged here in Toronto to have him on the
Yep.
Maple Leafs. Now, sadly, I tell my friends I've sort of been emotionally abused by the Maple Leafs over the years in their failings to,
Yeah.
make deep runs in the playoffs. And so, now I'm more of a hockey fan overall.
Yeah.
I'm not as tied, and I don't love the Maple Leafs as much as I used to, but I'm sure if they do well this year in the playoffs, I'll jump back on the bandwagon and really enjoy that. Hopefully they'll win the cup in my lifetime.
Love it. Love it. I hope they do. I hope they do. They've been star-crossed. Some tough game sevens, some tough series against the Bruins and the Lightning and some of these others. And right now, I don't like hockey's playoff setup. I hate the same matchups every single year. I just wish that they would go east and west and mix it up a little bit instead of these constant, Toronto, Tampa Bay in the first round
Yeah.
every year. It's tiresome. But all right, I'll be keeping an eye on the Leafs for you because I know you and so many others. It's kind of like living in Detroit when the Lions became good all of a sudden. The town was melting. People were so
Yeah.
exciting, and if the Leafs can make the cup, just getting into the Stanley Cup Finals again, I think Greater Toronto would just go bonkers. So I'd love to see it. Love to see it. Good
Well,
stuff.
hey, you're not too far away. Maybe when the Leafs play the Red Wings, we should meet up in Detroit and go check out a game. That'd be
There
pretty
you
fun.
go. There you go.
Wear the Sentinel jerseys.
There you go. Now you're talking. I like that idea. But that Sentinel jersey might be being framed, by the way, because
Oh
it
yeah,
is
nice.
so freaking cool. I've got Jason Isaacson. If we start talking hockey, the podcast is going to go way off the rails. Sentinel Facades, check them out at saferwithsentinel.com. And we were just talking earlier about it's a whole system, and that's really, really interesting. And I saw on your website, you had a note on there about the Bastion 63 curtain wall and it's been designed and tested to higher standards. So you talked a little bit earlier about okay, you guys went after the highest of the high, so that makes sense to me. But how when you're getting into that process, especially one that not a lot of companies are doing, where they're testing their either BR or their forced entry systems, how is the process? How did anything surprise you? Did you learn anything? Did you have to change anything? What was it like, going through all of that to make sure that you're bringing kind of the best of the best out there?
Yeah, good question. I would say we've been fortunate that Sentinel can sort of operate in stealth mode because we have this great strategic partnership with Aurora Glazing until now. And so we were able to spend the time to come up with a few iterations of our system and test them. We knew what our end goal was, and we knew where there were some weak spots that we had to address. And so the designers of the system, they really were able to sort of come up with a few iterations, test that before a lot of investment was really required. And so we our goal was to achieve the European standard, the EN uh, 1627 RC5 for the curtain wall system, and that's what we were able to achieve a number of years ago.
Right.
Um, and so that is a really unique test standard where it requires that the whole system, the glass and the frame system, withstand a professional attack for 15 minutes. And the professional can also use power tools
Oh, wow.
in the sort of testing of the system. And so, grinders, sawzalls, and in the world of, lightweight, highly powerful battery powered tools. I think that this European standard is really important for a lot of customers because it addresses those unique risks.
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny. I on Facebook, there's a couple of different Glazer pages, and there was one where somebody had busted in, and they used some sort of power tool to be able to, get through the glass. And it wasn't obviously anything that you're making or we see in others that are doing forced entry. It was a traditional IG unit, but it was obviously a power tool that was doing the work. So interesting on that testing. And so thank you for sharing that. That was good stuff. And so systems, again, back to the systems. It makes a lot of sense. Saferwithsentinel.com. You can see, the systems that we're talking about. Jason Isaacson's my guest. A couple more questions. So you've had your career in electronics, you've had your career in smart glass. Now you've moved to security, and I know you haven't been here long on the security side, but what have you liked about this side? What are the pluses that you're seeing? Obviously, you went from one version of keeping occupants healthy to another in a way. So, but what's it been like for you?
Yeah, good question, Max. I would say that I'm really excited about the opportunities for Sentinel because it just seems like safety and security is on the minds of a lot of people right now. Um, you know, Sadly, we live in a world that there's a lot of bad people, and that we need to think about these really unique risks for the buildings that we occupy and live in and visit. And so I think as time goes on, more building owners, more customers, more occupants are going to want to see safety and security glazing incorporated into, first floor, level one storefronts. Ballistic requirements will be there. And so we're really excited about the business opportunities that this brings about and how we can solve a lot of these problems, reduce the risks. And even there's an opportunity for customers to reduce their overhead by having a strong, highly tested facade system. They can also enjoy some reduced insurance premiums when it comes to protecting and ensuring their properties. So going forward, we're really excited about this market and the opportunities that we see ahead of us.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. The insurance angle is another huge angle, huge angle. So Jason Isaacson, Sentinel Facades, saferwithsentinel.com. One more question for you to wrap things up. How's next year looking for you? I know, it's early in your reign at Sentinel, but what's the gut feel? Obviously, you talked to a ton of people at Glass Build, so I'm sure you were getting opinions galore. What's the feel for the next 12 months for you and Sentinel?
Yeah, we publicly launched our brand at Glass Build 2024 just a couple of weeks ago in early October. And so we're primed for massive growth in 2025. Our business plans align to that. And we're just really pleasantly surprised, we'll say, with the positive feedback and the great interactions that we had at Glass Build. So we see that there's a lot of potential for Sentinel, a lot of growth opportunities, and we look forward to providing you guys with updates going forward.
Beautiful. Yeah, I will definitely be staying in touch with you for that. And again, thank you so much for the time. Jason Isaacson, Sentinel Facades. See them online at Safer with Sentinel, which is all one word, saferwithsentinel.com. Thank you, my friend. This was a lot of fun, and look forward to watching the progression of you and the company, and look forward to seeing what you come up next for the next show you guys are at. You've set the bar high.
Thanks, Max. great to be with you today. It was an honor, and look forward to seeing you next year at Glass Build in Orlando.
Absolutely. We'll see you before then, and I'm sure. But thank you so much. Thank you.
Take care.
Hey glazers and fabricators, FHC, the Frameless Hardware Company, is here to support your business. In addition to offering a complete selection of glazing tools and supplies to get the job done right, we design, engineer, and manufacture a comprehensive offering of frameless shower door systems, heavy glass doors, aluminum entrances and storefronts, architectural railings, transaction and display hardware. Privately owned and American-made, FHC prioritizes you, the customer. You now have a choice. Visit fhc-usa.com.
Okay. Thrilled to have the dynamic duo of Michael and Carolyn Spellman with me from IGE Glass Technologies. Find them online at igesolutions.com. They're the best of the best. Guys, thank you so much for doing the pod.
You're very welcome. Dynamic duo. Do I get to be Batman? You, Robin?
I don't even know if it has to be a Batman Robin. I mean, one's Superman and one is like the Incredible Hulk sort of thing. So, and I guess you'd be the Hulk, Michael, and
Yeah.
Carolyn is
Well,
Superman.
thank you for having us, Max. We're delighted to be back again.
Yes, delighted. It really is always a pleasure. It's great fun.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you, and I know you guys pretty well, but from the last time you were on the podcast, this podcast has picked up a lot more listeners and viewers, and so they may not know Michael and Carolyn Spellman from IGE. So let's start with you guys personally, a little bit about your past, where you grew up, and then how you made it to this crazy industry. Michael, I'll start with you because I always love I love the origin story. So please.
Yeah, it's probably best because I dragged Carolyn in along my journey in life a few years after. We've been together almost 30 years, so she's been involved in the business for about 30 years. But prior to that, I was working as an independent manufacturer's rep, involved in the optical laboratory business, and some of the products in the optical laboratory business crossed over to the flat glass, primarily an abrasive rare earth compound called cerium oxide, which I found that Falconer Glass in New York used a lot of glass industry, and that was a bit of aha moment actually when I saw that, and I was led into the glass industry through cerium oxide when I found out that the nice people at Falconer Glass and Mirror used truckloads of it to clean the glass for the mirror. A big aha moment, like I said, took off, and I decided I love that industry, and went to the 1981 show in Houston. I went to the 81 show and made the jump towards machinery, and absolutely found the love of my life, other than Carolyn, in glassworking machinery, and pretty much got myself involved as a manufacturer's rep right into the early 90s, and that's when I met Carolyn, and we decided to make a switch to being a distributor. The name started out as Spellman Sales, and then it went to I.G.E. for International Glass Equipment. And that name continued to evolve to IGE Solutions. And at one point, we were in the stone industry as well for about, I think, 6 or 7 years. We escaped that alive, which was great, and decided never again to veer from our focus in the flat glass industry, especially in the side that focuses on the glass fabricator and the problems which the glass fabricators face at all times seem never ending. So we liked the solution idea. We were IGE Solutions, then later became IGE Glass Technologies when we decided to really focus just in glass for the remainder of the time that I was going to be at the helm. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been a long journey. It's been a real fun journey. It doesn't seem that long. It seems like only yesterday, you and I met, and God, it's now been, I don't know, 15 years or something. I've known you, and it's always been a pleasure to know you, and family members and your friends seem to be our friends, and you've done a great job keeping the industry together and keeping this as sort of a fun club. And I really appreciate that. I really do. I know Carolyn does, and all our employees do, and you're a highlight of the industry. So thank you for that. And thank you for having us on too. This is great to have this opportunity to catch up with you.
No, thank you, thank you, and I always love hearing about your story, and I thank you for the kind words. I'm honored by that, and it's been great to get to know you guys. And before we lose track, Carolyn, I got to hear, people have to hear about your past because you came from, was it banking? Were you on the bank side of things before you got in?
Well, yes, I worked for Fidelity Investments,
Okay,
and I was there for going on my sixth year when Michael and I got married in 1996. And then our daughter Erin was born in 1998. And that was the time that Michael began to say, I'd like to go from being a agent to a distributor.
right,
And he said, if I make that jump, I need an employee. And he looked at me and said, you could be my first employee.
I love
So
it.
it was a real leap of faith. I left Fidelity, with a brand new baby. And I became the first parts person, salesperson, finance person, service person. Michael, especially in those days, Michael was on the road traveling like crazy, bringing all sorts of new products to market. So I held down the fort in the office back at home and started filling orders and piles of spare parts and tooling on the basement floor turned into mountains, turned into a public warehouse.
Right.
And after the second baby, that's when I began to say, I think we're going to need a little more help here. And that's when, the gentleman that everybody knows, that's when Manny came along.
And that's
Right.
where we hired the second baby.
Yeah,
We hired the second baby.
I love it. I love
No,
it.
that was it was a great moment once Manny came aboard because Manny was doing a lot of our excuse me, he was doing our packing anyway at an independent packing company. And then we dragged him down to Florida. It wasn't much of a drag. He was kind of happy to do
Yep.
it.
Yep.
And we rented our first building down there, and a few years later, we bought the headquarters complex that we have now.
Yeah, that was 23 years ago.
So
I
yeah,
love
that's
it.
been a lot of fun along the way. I'll tell you that.
I love it. And time has flown, and I have known you for 15 plus years at least. And I've always felt like you guys are the trailblazers. I always talk about the you're always the first to come up with new things, the first for new products. And so it's funny that you went from solutions to technologies because you're still providing the solutions and the technologies to this day, but you're always on the cutting edge of things. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the cutting edge things. But kudos to the both of you for the vision and just in everything that you do has made such a big difference in our industry. And we've used the term game changer, and truly, that's what you guys are. It's not a machine anymore. It's you two. You're the ones who changed it all. That's for sure.
Well, we got a great group, as you know. There's
Yep.
17 of us, so everybody's been with us for the most part. Over 80% of our employees have been with us more than 15 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, the team is great. The team's been fun. But just to go back real quickly, back to when Carolyn joined us, I was talking to a customer that was a great friend of mine, and he said, "Make sure you write her a check out of the checkbook, so she really feels a part of it." So
Yeah.
I handed her a check for $150 every week. It said IGE on it, and she took the check. And nowadays, she writes me the check for $150, and I don't know what she does with the rest of the
I
revenue.
love it.
All I know is that we're still
Yeah,
married,
you don't need to know. It's okay.
and here we are up in New Hampshire. This background's real, folks. So
Yeah.
we're enjoying our foliage every year.
Yeah.
It's Friday, so I had to get out of Milton. Milton was looking a little bit scary down there in Florida, so
Good call.
she invited me back home here for a couple days.
I love it. I meant
all good.
those of you watching on YouTube, I mentioned that the background that Michael and Carolyn have, it doesn't look real. It's so nice. And so the leaves look good, and the whole setup up there in New Hampshire looks great. Again, I got Michael and Carolyn Spellman with me, IGE Glass Technologies. Find them online at igesolutions.com. And so for those, we've talked about you guys. We kind of talked a tiny little bit about IGE, but for those who don't know what IGE does and offers, this is a great chance. Carolyn, you want to throw out the elevator pitch of especially, and I asked you because you designed an unbelievable booth at Glass Build this year. It was a stunner. So since it's got to be first and foremost in your head, talk about a little bit about IGE.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. Thank you. I think the two most important things that we do in the whole list of things that we do is, number one, bringing the most technologically advanced solutions to the fabricator, but then as a value added distributor, the range of value that we add to the process ranges from the specialized engineering and factory layouts and finding the right solutions for the right people. Customizations. One of Michael's greatest talents is to be able to walk into a factory, find the bottlenecks, find the headaches, and be able to offer solutions. And then,
thank you.
You're welcome. And then everything from our whole support team, which has grown, as Michael said, over the years. And we provide the logistic assistance, the service of full warehouse of spare parts, tooling, supplies, the training. We have a great technical staff who, some of them even come from being actual machine operators.
Yep.
So they have terrific technical backgrounds and engineering backgrounds. And we had a very interesting situation recently with a customer. It's kind of a funny, cute little story. And our spare parts guy, Raul, answered the phone. And, he said his cell phone too, and said, "Hey, Mr. Customer, how you doing?" And the customer said, "That's all I need." And Raul said, "What do you mean that's all you need? How can I help you?" He said, "I just needed to prove a point to somebody that IGE always answers the phone." And then that customer hung up. It's kind of, it's a great story. It's a reflection of our staff that understands that the customer comes first, and we only work with manufacturers that share that same value as we do about the importance of the customer. And so being able to bring those technologically advanced solutions to market while having the full support staff for the spare parts, tooling, service, training, that's the two big focuses of our company, to be able to satisfy the market in that way.
Tremendous.
And if I could jump in for a second,
yep,
Max,
please.
one point. Go ahead. Oh,
go ahead.
Carolyn brought up a huge point, and that is the manufacturers have to be in line with the customer comes first. And I don't know, there's a lot of people that do business with companies that are overseas, but in the case of the glass fabrication world, they really don't make anything here in the United States. There's an excellent washer company that's located in the United States, but other than that, there's really no one that makes it. So we have to go around the world to find these solutions. So finding the solutions is one thing, and then finding the right personalities and the right outlook, and making sure that they all align with what we want is a real hard challenge. Because sometimes we could fall in love with the machine and find out the manufacturer is just going to be one big headache, and that's awful. So we go through quite a vetting process that usually lasts 3 to 5 years. But sometimes it only lasts a little bit of the time if we find something really spectacular and we feel like everything's aligning. But that's really one thing that customers really rely on us. When they see us, they know we've got something to talk about. We're not going to waste their time. And that's very important. And we don't really lay pitches on people. We more like have probing questions. When we walk in and we're invited into a factory, we already can spot trouble a mile away, but sometimes it's just little things. And if you can improve the little things and help the customer with these little things, they add up. So it can be as little as something to do with the drainage or the water, or helping them figure out how to get better water or process better water, all the way up to a major machine that's going to change their entire business for the better. So it's been a lot of fun, because it certainly adds interest to an industry that has been a little bit slow in progressing over the decades, as you know. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I've been so excited about the vacuum insulated glass from Landvac, that you've been a great supporter of since day one. And I'll never forget that, because half the people out there think that, I have 3 heads when they look at me like, what in the world is he talking about? But I finally figured out the best way to explain it to somebody, Max. And just go to Home Depot and get a big thermos, and just sit the thermos down and say, "This is the window." And I go, "What do you mean? That's not a window. That's a thermos." What does a thermos do? Well, thermos insulates your hot to stay hot, your cold to stay cold.
Right.
It really is. It was originally a glass, 2 pieces of glass, one big bottle, one little bottle. And then they sealed those 2 and pumped out the air, and found out that insulation was the absolute best way to insulate hot and cold products, right? And that's really what it is. So what we've done, been able to do that no one else has been able to do, is perfect the manufacturing of tempered vacuum insulated glass. And now we don't have any holes. So we don't have portholes, we don't have getter holes, we don't have evacuation holes. It's a beautiful piece of glass that can go in anyone's home now.
Yeah.
So we're pretty excited about the progress of that. And as you know, we've been dealing with Vitro on this, and it's getting very exciting. They've been terrific to work with lately, and we have very high hopes that partnership with Vitro is going to bring the product to where it really needs to be, and that's everywhere.
Absolutely. It does need to be everywhere. And I love the fact that, you know, again, dealing with you guys, that you're all about the solutions. I think the original thought of the solutions is what really gets me, and the technology. And just in one kind of blurb that you two just talked about, you brought it all to head. You know, you've got products that you vet the manufacturers and make sure that they are for real and that they will stand up. You make sure that your folks are the best of the best. You make sure everybody's answering the phone. You make sure that you're offering new products that will change our world, like like the vacuum insulating glass. And it's all, you know, again, it goes back to that kind of your trailblazer sort of thing. And I love when you know, your passion for it is similar to mine. I mean, I'm the same way. You get me going, as you can tell right now. I can't stop. I get very, very excited. So
Yeah.
I like what you've got going on, and I'm a fan. So I love
Well,
the
thank you.
process.
Well, yeah, it's great to be appreciated, and it's great to have guys like Heinz and Manny that get all excited too, and
Oh,
Charlie Boyer gives us some help, and you know how great as Charlie is. Charlie's the smartest guy I know,
smartest guy in the
other than
industry.
you.
Smartest guy,
Other than
brain wise.
Carolyn, actually, because I don't want to get beaten after this broadcast, but
Yeah.
No, I think also that important thing is that we have dealt with customers through generations.
Yeah.
You know, Michael dealt with grandfathers, and then and I think that people do come back to us over the decades because they know that IGE is there to support them and is going to bring them the most technologically advanced solutions. And our entire team, it's a culture that I hope that we have created. But I do believe we've succeeded in that because everybody that's part of the IGE team understands the importance of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I recognize that, you know, anytime I get to talk to Jeff Spicer or Jennifer Song, you know, I mean, just great people. Your culture is fantastic. And so you talked about VIG, which I know you're excited about. VIG Technologies is awesome. And we will later talk about vacuum gas. But what right now is the big product on the IGE side that has you guys pretty stoked, that is, you know, making a huge difference in people's operations? What's the product that, you know, and I know it's like trying to pick your favorite kid. It's impossible because you have so many.
yeah.
But
Well,
what's
you're
your
right,
favorite?
because you know it's funny because the show, I think one of our most popular products that was discussed at the show was our Vitro water filtration
Right.
system
Right.
we've had for 15 years or something. I
Yep.
mean, that was really exciting. So some things we're way ahead of, and when you see the market might finally start understanding different ways of doing things, that's a real thrill. So it really isn't one thing all the time. Of course, it's hard not to be super excited over the JRS machine because
Yep.
we had a lovely relationship for almost 30 years with a company that was purchased by a bigger company, which happens, and they kind of let, you know, and we developed a machine that we felt that customers really required and really wanted. And we displayed it for the first time at Glass Build. It was huge success.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's really fun too. So the old ones come up as new ones, and some of the new ones are considered been around for a while, even though they're much newer and better. So you don't get bored. It's very rare we have a boring day at IGE.
No, very, very rare.
Yeah, I guess we've talked about it before how Michael lives in the future.
Yeah.
And I live in the past. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why we've been so successful together, both in our family and in our business. But we laugh when we get on a train. Michael takes the seat that has to look this way. I take the seat that has to look that way. And some of our products, Michael has been way ahead of the game in trying to bring those to market. And he sees where the market's going, and he sees what, you know, like the Sistron loop and the IR Tech. And
I don't know if it's really that I can see through a crystal ball, but all customers, all our fabricators have to automate. So there's one thing that we always look for is how are we going to reduce labor and increase production and profits and reduce waste. And that's a common theme when we look at equipment and we look at ideas. The other common theme is what kind of profit margins can our customers make with this type of machine, or how much more production are you going to get out of an 8-hour shift, things like that we look at. We also really look at the construction of the machine.
Right.
So it was such a pleasure to see Rob and Tim down there from
TriStar. Yeah.
Yeah, they just put in the Toramass system with with all kinds of, also the water equipment, and it was really, really fabulous to hear the feedback from them. So these are the things that keep you going.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I have a fun question in between, but then I'm going to circle back to this for another question. So I have to ask the fun question. I'm with Michael and Carolyn Spellman, IGE Glass Technology. See them online at igesolutions.com. I've added this since the last time that you guys did the podcast. I always break things up with a fun one. And I'm very genuinely curious because you two have been all over the world, mostly for work, mostly looking at machines and solutions all over the place. But your all-time favorite place to visit in this entire world? Michael, I'll start with you. And then Carolyn, where is your all-time favorite place?
My all-time favorite place is where I'm sitting right now.
Interesting. Okay. So New Hampshire is it for you? I thought you were going to say Ireland. I thought you were going to say Ireland.
Home.
Well, my home is really where I find my wife and my dog.
Okay.
And kids are all gone now. So if my wife and my dog are in Florida, that's home.
Okay.
If my wife and dog are here in New Hampshire, it's home. So,
and just probably because of the amount of travel that
yeah, but I know what you're saying. So I'm going to try to think about this one. I'm going to let you think about it too.
Okay.
So
I'll take it. So
do you think you want to take it first?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yes, as you said, we've done a lot of travel, through the business over the decades, and we've been to now 6 continents. The only one we haven't been to is Antarctica, and I just don't see that happening. Not in this lifetime. It doesn't quite. Yeah, going through the Drake Shake doesn't quite. That prospect of that doesn't thrill me. But because we've spent so much time in Europe, you could give me any European country any day of the year, and I love it, absolutely love it. But it is a difficult question because of so many places we've been. But being able to go through Asia and all the interesting cultural aspects of countries so entirely different than the U.S. But if I really had to pick one, put a gun to my head, I would say Italy.
Italy, very nice.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to argue about Italy. Spain would be probably my first one in Europe. But I also enjoy, I've been to Croatia and Lithuania. We have some friends in the industry from Lithuania. I think you've met them with us from Glass Bell.
Yep.
Just fabulous people. Love Eastern Europe. When I'm in Asia, I loved Vietnam. Absolutely love Vietnam. I still love China a ton.
Yeah.
There's so many places in China that are so magical to me. And in Canada, I love Vancouver.
Yeah.
I mean, I just love Vancouver. I really do. And then on our coast, we enjoy Montreal and Quebec. And how do you not like?
So you don't have one place, is the bottom line. The
exciting place, Toronto, is so exciting. It's just great.
I guess you can see why he's lasted so long in this industry, because he doesn't mind getting on a plane and going to all these places.
And he doesn't stop. But they're nonstop
really
motion.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna have to someday. So let's, But
never. You never will.
But it's been a lot of fun. Carolyn's been able to travel with me a lot more since the kids have been off to college. But even when the kids were little toddlers, we took them to Europe for 3 weeks in the summer, and they thought they were on vacation. I was working. It worked out beautifully. Same thing happened in the winter in Asia. We had Christmas in China almost 15 years, but the majority of our products are now from Europe, and they have been from Europe almost forever.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you like Europe.
Yeah.
I like it. Very cool. A couple more.
It's good fun.
Couple more questions for you guys. And so backing up, when you guys were talking about, trying to, educate people, help their bottom lines, help their profit margins. My question that popped in my head was, how do you keep yourself from getting frustrated when a fabricator, I call it stepping over dollars for dimes, they don't understand that piece of automation or that water filtration system or that fabrication operation, drilling and milling will make a huge difference in their operation, and they will go ahead and skip to something manual or something that needs 5 people to operate instead of 1. How do you keep yourself calm? Because for me, I would explode. I just see it
Yeah.
there. But how do you, after 30 plus years, both of you doing this, keep yourself together?
It's called happy hour.
I love it.
Yeah. Happy hour helps you through that tremendously. It is very frustrating, but in the long run, they find out, that they should have, and you try to keep it quiet and not say I told you so, because that's not a really good sales
Business.
tactic.
Right.
So it does happen, but you know what? We're in the long run here, and you win some, you lose some, but then the most important thing is they got to come back.
Yeah.
As you don't make a living just selling one machine here and there. You've got to have a customer for decades.
Right. And you have all the options, which is nice. And if you want to see the options, they're at IGEsolutions.com. And I've got Michael and Carolyn Spellman with me from IGE. Like I said, a couple more questions. Vacuum gas, since we talked a little bit about VIG, real quick, how is vacuum gas going? I had you and Charlie and Art on, last year was, I think it was one of my biggest podcasts, actually, the power trio of you guys. How is vacuum gas going, especially since VIG continues to grow?
Well, congratulations to you one more time for picking up on it right away, because a lot of people haven't quite got it yet. I think if you put the vacuum gas on top of the 8.3 millimeter VIG and explain that this way you can replace the glass in a window without having to replace the window.
Yeah.
Because the gasket not only fills the gap, but it also extends the insulation value all the way to the edge. And it's a great product. Charlie, I just love Charlie to death. He did a great job. And Art did a great job with the supplier, and we're going to be bringing it to Dusseldorf next week, and I believe it's going to be a tremendous success because they're doing a lot more retrofits in Europe than they're doing here right now. But it's one of those products that we know is going to take off. It's patented all over the world, and we're pretty excited about having gotten that patent, and I'm excited about the product, definitely, because if you take a look at like the New York City condos, that was really what got us to produce this. Is once we learned there's 32 million windows in New York City alone, the 5, Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, Manhattan, and I probably forgot one, Staten Island.
No, you got them.
Queens.
You got them.
Well, anyway, I don't get in any trouble with my New York friends. Oh, Yankees. I'm okay now. Anyway, they don't have to change the window, and the big cost is the window. So if you could just change out the glass, no one's going to give you a hard time about the cost of a VIG.
Yeah.
So you just change out the glass, you add the gasket, clean up the window a little bit, little WD-40, a couple other little tricks, and you're done. And you've done it all from the inside. And suddenly you throw away your R2 unit that's probably circa 1970, 1980. It's no good anymore. And you're now at an R20 if you're using Solar Band 70 or above.
And
So,
the nice thing is that the vacuum gas is agnostic. It can go with anybody's VIG, not just your VIG Technologies or VacuumAx. It can go with anybody's. It's a perfect product for the entire segment.
well, that's a good point. I didn't even think to say that. You want a job selling machines?
I'm not good enough. Trust me, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough to make that IGE team. Not with the talent you have in Jupiter, my friend. I couldn't crack that lineup. No way. I can only dream. So, a couple more questions for you guys because I know you're busy. Glass Tech, you mentioned. What's on tap for Glass Tech and IGE? Anything special, Carolyn? Anything going on over there for you and Michael?
Just all of our manufacturers that will be exhibiting, and we're starting to cycle out the LinkedIn information promotions on the various halls. But of course, Sistron, Vitrosep, Teromas, Biotech, JRS,
they'll be there.
They'll be there. Yep.
Sistron's a big one. Sistron from Austria has a solution that is just incredible for the real high-end glass fabricators.
Yeah.
So all that's going to be really a lot of fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we hear you're going to be there, so we hope to see you in Dusseldorf.
Yes, yes. I
That'll be
always
fun.
I always love that when I do get to go to Dusseldorf and I get to see you guys, and I love watching, again, the way you hold court, in certain booths. It's I know I'm in a safe place. I know I can go over, say hi to you, get a few minutes with you, and it keeps me energized to go through the other 9 halls of that place. So I
Yeah,
appreciate
it's crazy. Yeah, it is. It's nonstop. It's going to be very busy for us with the North American fabricators over there and trying to get between all of our manufacturers. So, and then of course squeezing in the pig knuckle and all that.
Schweinhaxen.
Schweinhaxen.
Yeah.
To get some Schweinhaxen and things like that. That's always fun. But you know what's happening as you get older? It's not quite so easy to make it down to the Irish bar anymore,
No.
especially till the wee hours of the morning. At those days are kind of gone.
No, I don't. I got my money on you. I think you can still hold court there.
I think I
Not-
could probably make one night. I'm not doing it every night.
Don't sandbag us. We know better. The audience knows better. You're the pro. You're the pro.
I'm gonna be the last man standing. You watch.
Yeah, you're the pro, my friend. That's not changing. I love getting caught up with you guys, and so my last question. I just have to ask about JRS. It is. I joke about it's the machine that knocked me out. It's an incredible machine. You all have to be incredibly proud of what's going on with that option.
We really are, and I have to thank Carolyn really for motivating me too, because it was a very difficult time after 3 decades with one company. But I had noticed that the company that we were dealing with had stopped spending any money really on research and development. So I started to get a little disappointed with the company. And then when I found out the big fish that ate the little fish, and I was with the little fish, it was time for me to follow my dreams and make a better product. And Carolyn pushed me to go to Torino, Italy, and we went to Torino and we hung out until we ran into the right people. It was really pretty funny because it was a little difficult to relax and enjoy being in Torino because we were on a mission, but the mission succeeded. And 3 years later, here we are at the show with a masterpiece, truly a masterpiece.
It is.
And it is a proud moment. And thank you for bringing that up because it's brings tears to my eyes, basically. It's just such an improvement. And it's such a profit generating machine, drilling and milling. And our uptime is estimated to be 97% and even greater. It's just incredible. And I have to thank Giancarlo. Giancarlo is one of the greatest friends we ever had. And he came through for us big time with this JRS. He's the J in the JRS.
Gotcha.
His last name is Gemma. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And the S, we're not going to tell you where that comes from because we're going to keep that a secret.
There you go. Okay.
The R was at the show too, but the S not. No. It's just interesting how things can come full circle,
Yep.
and it sounds so cliche to say one door closes, another door opens, but we did hear recently a new one door closes and a gate opens. And in this case, that is absolutely proven true. And we're just so delighted to be able to work with Giancarlo again. And he's an incredible engineer, an incredible person. And the excitement that Splendor, the first customer where unfortunately did hit the floor.
Yeah.
One of the greatest guys
Tom
ever.
Maker and,
Yeah.
and his whole family. They are incredible.
family.
They did a great job with Manny. They had the vision too, because that was a leap of faith for them.
Yeah.
And Giancarlo, he was not going to let this fail. He had a lot, on the line as well. And here we are now, and just at the show, and that machine at the show was sold, and there's already more orders pending now. So it's been a great new chapter for us, because that was a difficult chapter after losing the other manufacturer for 30 years.
I give you guys a lot of credit. My brother and I'm the grudge holder. My brother, always forgives. I don't. I'm terrible. I'm working on it. I'm trying to get better at holding a grudge. So I give you guys just, you went and you created something new and you're kicking butt. And I will say, from seeing it at Splendor, what was amazing was seeing the JRS. It was kind of like that like angelic sort of thing. It was up on it felt like it was up on a pedestal with the light shining down on it because it was pristine and perfect. And then on the other sides were these 4 older machines that were just spitting water all over the place and guys just trying to deal with things. It was like, wow, it was like seeing, the iPhone next to a rotary phone sort of thing. So kudos to
Right.
Giancarlo and you guys.
Yeah,
Tremendous work.
he, as you know, he had sort of a blank slate, which made it great. He was
Yep.
able to say, what would be a dream machine, and he factored everything in from safety and maintenance and production and uptime. Exactly. It was really it's a genius engineering feat, and I love seeing our technicians. We already have 2 of IGE's technicians trained on it already. Perfect. And the excitement that they have for the machine. It's like they see it and they go crazy. So it's going to be a great product.
We have a machine also being installed right now in Northern California. I haven't asked his permission to announce it, but let me tell you this: everybody knows him. He's one of the nicest human beings God ever put on the planet. He's also a brilliant businessman that built a fantastic business. His first name begins with R.
Okay. Oh my! Get the hook.
Tracy, California.
Okay.
So I can't say anymore, but we're excited about that. That should start up next week, I guess.
Beautiful.
That's exciting. And then we've got about 4 more in the line before say March of next year will be installed.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible.
It's a great machine among many. I mean, you've got the drilling, milling options, the fabrication options, IG options, water filtration options. I mean, it goes on. And then obviously the flip side of you with the VIG and the vacuum gas. I mean, so much going on in your world. And I know I could sit here and chop it up with you for way too long, and we'd all miss our flights to Dusseldorf. So we got to cut it off eventually here. But I really appreciate you taking the time, and I love what you've done with the industry and for the industry, and made a huge difference. If you don't, and by the way, I have to admit, today's the first time I realized that IGE stood for International Glass Equipment. I never knew that. I can't believe I didn't know that. So what a day. The mush brain strikes again. But thank you so much for everything you guys have done for our industry and continue to do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Max, thank you
just
for having us.
One more quick comment. Carolyn, you hit a home run definitely with the booth at the show.
Yes.
My daughter Erin helped out a lot too. And the combination of Erin and Carolyn and the timing is just making it even more fun hanging out with them. They're great. And Carolyn is about to unleash our new website in the next few days. So
can't wait.
Yep, more branding. That's I can add that to my sales, service, finance. Another hat I'll be wearing. I'll give myself one since I'm the finance person.
Yeah, and your check will be now $125 a month. She's going to take it from you.
And mine's going to get reduced.
Yes. Get ready.
Absolutely.
Get ready.
Well, thanks for your
go ahead.
Your industry input, Max. We love reading all of your posts, and you really you're sort of the glue that brings it all together for everybody on both the manufacturing side and the production side. Yeah.
Well, thank you. It comes easy. I'm very fortunate, very blessed to be in this world. I love getting to work with folks with you and seeing people like you and your entire team. So kudos and thank you again for letting me in your space. And I look forward to seeing you in Germany here very, very soon. But thanks for doing the podcast.
See you soon. Thank you, Max.
Again, Max. Really
Thank you, guys.
It.
Okay. Thank you so much to my guests, Jason Isackson, Carolyn, and Michael Spellman. All awesome people. Appreciate them being on the podcast. Incredible. Thank you also to FHC for sponsoring this episode of the From the Fabricator podcast. FHC is your place for pretty much everything in our industry. Check them out at fhc-usa.com. And when you go there, you'll see it. There's a lot of information. The resources are there. And of course, a wide range of products. See it at fhc-usa.com. Check it out now. And thank you to them for their support. As always, the end of the podcast brings me to my TV section. And I'm way behind, folks. After the glass build stuff and other things that are going on in my world, I'm not checking out as much new stuff because I'm still catching up on the old stuff like Bad Monkey. I'm loving it. It's so good with Vince Vaughn. And everybody I've told has, I think, enjoyed that. So that's been great. And then the cheesy part of me is looking forward to Tracker coming back on CBS and Paramount Plus. I'm a big Justin Hartley guy, good-looking guy. I like good-looking guys, and he's a good-looking guy in a fun, neat, empty-calorie show that we all need in our life. So that's Tracker on CBS and Paramount Plus. So I'm getting old enough where I'm watching TV shows on CBS now. So how about that? Anyway, thank you so much for checking out the podcast. We'll be back next month. I've got really neat guests. I've been lining up the guests for November and December, the solo episode, the big end year ender, and even into January. I've got some really different and cool people coming up. Looking forward to it. Thank you so much for the support of this, and we will see you next time.
Oh, the music is stopped.